Alright, let's make an eye for our minion. There are 3 major steps on the website directions, starting with a black circle, slowly adding piece by piece everything that you need to make a 3-dimensional looking goggle and eye with a strap going around the body. It's going to be 10 pieces total. You can see I've pre-made all of mine here. Most of these I've used the Ellipse Tool to create. It's just these 3 pieces here for the goggle strap and connecting pieces that I used the paintbrush. So let me show you what we're doing. Now when you're using the Ellipse Tool, you need to have either a fill color or stroke color, and the directions on the site will tell you either to have one or the other turned off. I'm going to give you suggestions of colors as well. So for the first shape, I had a black fill, no stroke. Holding my shift key down, I created a perfect circle. I'm going to place this a little bit inside the body here on the left and somewhere near the top. And I'm going to click off with my black arrow selection tool to unselect it so I can make something else. Now the next one, the suggestion on the website, is actually to simply copy and paste this black shape that I created. So Control C, Control V. We're going to change the fill to none, change the stroke outline color to gray, and switch over to 4-point. So it's a little thicker. So that's how I created this piece here. This one is going to be moved, positioned right over the black. There's actually a reason why we have 2 separate shapes, so please don't just put a stroke gray color on your black shape. We want this to make a 3D effect a little bit later, and it can help you if there's little mistakes. Now you'll notice that my gray is kind of close to the body here, and I do want that. And if it's not, just turn the lock off of your minion body, selection tool, move the body in a little bit. This way we don't have to create more pieces later. So I'm going to zoom out. You'll see what I mean in a little bit. So go ahead and position it there. The next shape I'm going to create is another perfect circle, a little bit smaller, you can see, than the black circle, and the fill color is going to be the same as the body. So if you have a purple minion, make this one the same purple you use for the body. We want it big enough so that we have this kind of a crescent black shape. If I move it a little bit to the right, we want it to touch the gray circle ever so slightly. So I'm going to zoom in to see that. You can overlap, so here's why it's nice to have these 2 separate shapes. Overlap, go to Object, Arrange, and send backward until you can see that the gray circle is on top of the yellow. Then it doesn't matter if you moved it a little too far over. We can still create this effect. So I'll zoom out a little bit so you can see how it's coming together. If I'm on my selection tool and click off in the background here, it'll unselect what I'm working on. So let me go ahead and move this back a little more. There we go. So now we can see the gray is in front of the yellow. The next is you do not need to use shift. You're actually going to create something that's not a perfect circle, but we're going to have it positioned where there's a little bit of yellow body here, body color, and it's not quite touching the gray over here, so we still see a little bit of black on this side, a little bit of body color on the right side. And it shouldn't go all the way up to the top or bottom, so you can see this is more of an oval shape. Then we're going to create 2 perfect circles. One is going to have a black stroke color, 1 point, and the inside color is whatever color you want your eye to be. And I'm going to position this where I want. Now if I want him looking down, I can move it down a little bit or up. But since his body is facing to the left, I'm going to have it as though he is looking to the left. And I make a smaller perfect circle with a fill black, no stroke color, and place that on top. Again, you can move this and play with it a little bit to see if you want to have him looking in a particular direction. These next shapes are parts of the goggle. So we have a circle with a gradient. We have kind of an oval squared off piece, and then 2 little not so perfect pieces that are going to kind of connect the strap to the goggle. So this is perfect circle. Again, use shift, use your ellipse tool, draw your perfect circle. To put a gradient in here, some gradients may already be in your swatches. So let me drag out the swatches here. You can see in Radial Gradient is basically talking about circular gradient, as opposed to vertical or horizontal where it's straight up and down or right to left. And if I wanted that, I would switch it to linear So let me drag out my Gradients tab as well, so you can see how you can manipulate it. Really, you can choose any of these radial gradients, and I'll show you how you can change the colors to have grays, really dark grays and light grays. No black in this. No stroke outline, by the way, it's all fill color. And you can see in my gradient tab here, we'll move the layers out of the way, I have 3 little blocks. Those are the 3 different colors that are fading in my image. So if I want to change those, I choose a color within my swatches and drag it. So I'm clicking the mouse and holding it, drag it and let go over that shape. You can see it change in here. So I want something kind of a darker tone, granted, but not super dark. So I'm going to go ahead and change my gradients where the middle color is kind of a lighter gray and the outer color is darker gray. And I'm going to position this. At the moment, it's actually going to be in the right place, but let me move this to show you what would happen. So I'm going to have it in front of everything. This is not where we want it ultimately. But I'm going to position it while it's here, so it's a little bit over the goggle. And it's lined up with the top and the bottom. So I'm going to scooch this over a little bit. It's okay if you need to change this one to be a bit oval shaped, because it's going to go behind a lot of things, so I'm going to show you what I mean in just a moment. So if we go to Object and Arrange and send backwards, or remember you can use Control and the bracket. The brackets are next to the letter P. Use the left bracket directly next to the P. So holding Control, hitting the bracket, 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 it's going to slowly go behind all the pieces. The black circle was the first one I made, so if I can see that one, it's actually behind all of the pieces right now. So if you want it to line up a little bit better, it's okay to stretch this left side out a bit more, but make sure it doesn't go out over the goggle so we can see that on the left side. We're creating this kind of 3-dimensional effect here. And just a little bit over here on the right. So if I unselect, you can see how it's coming along nicely. Using my paintbrush tool, I just kind of quickly drew these pieces and filled them with a gradient. Now you can see that I have a darker gradient in the bottom left. What I did for that, this direction is on my website, is I used a gradient tool similar to the one we used in Photoshop before. It's above the eyedrop tool. So you select that, click and drag your mouse so that you get the color where you want it. The shorter the line, the more of one color or the other you're going to see, and I want more of the dark gray. If it's going to be the piece on the bottom, I want the dark gray to be in the upper left. So I'm going to position that here. And I'm actually going to put a little bit of a darker gradient into this color, just like I did my other one. Then I'm going to move over and grab this other piece. So selection tool, drag it over. I'm going to drag those colors in here as well. And use my gradient tool to position the dark to be more in the bottom left. Take my selection tool and move it pretty close to this one. I can rotate these pieces as well. Looks like I have a black in that gradient, so I'm going to change that. You don't necessarily want black. We'll go off a little bit from the corner here, and you can see a curved double arrow. That'll allow you to rotate if you need to rotate it a little bit. And looks like 2 little pieces are connecting it. So I'm going to zoom out. Same thing, paintbrush tool, just kind of drew a tube shape. But let me draw this for you to show you what you need to pay attention to. You can just have a black color in here, or you can have a slight gradient, but solid black fill is fine. I'm going to start inside the goggle here a little bit, and I'm going to paint so it goes over the head, and you can see it doesn't really have to be a perfect color or perfect shape, but I'm going to connect this like a very kind of squared off oval. And I'm going to fill it with black. So let me select it and fill it black. And I want it to go behind these pieces, so Command and left bracket until it goes behind the pieces I need it to. I can also choose this one and rearrange it. And I'm going to position it so it goes behind these little pieces and is slightly over the side of the body. My Minion Eye is now complete. Let me get rid of this piece that I don't need. And if you are ready to move on to the mouth, that would be our next video.